Have you ever wished you could duplicate yourself? Maybe you've been frustrated because you know how to do something yourself really, really well, and you've been successful at it, but you've struggled to duplicate these results with other people. Now, I know this feeling well, and I'll never forget as a new leader. I had the hardest time figuring out how to take what I knew out of my brain. I wish there was a chip that could go from my brain to theirs. But how to take what I knew really well, and I struggled to learn how to duplicate myself. Because here's the thing, it's one thing to know how to succeed yourself. It's a whole nother thing to know how to help other people succeed. Well, in this video, I'm gonna share 3 secrets that I've learned over the years to help you duplicate yourself. All right, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, my name is Ben Ward, and I've led sales teams for the past 2 decades. And I like to talk about what it takes to succeed at a high level as a sales leader. Now, if you lead a team of any kind, I'm confident you'll get a ton of value out of this video. And if you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. I want to hear from you either way. And by staying to the end, I'm going to share a bonus with you that you are not going to want to miss to help you duplicate yourself. Okay, let's talk about the 3 keys to duplicate the success that you've been able to achieve yourself with others that you can apply today. Now, in duplicating yourself, you don't want a bunch of you. You see the thumbnail, it's a bunch of me. I just wanted to give the effect of duplicating yourself, but you do not want a bunch of you running around. What you really want is the very best of each person that you lead, helping them operate at their very best and duplicating the results that you've been able to get. As a high performer, helping other people become high performers. Now, the first key comes from an ancient Hindi word that few people have ever heard before, and it's called Genshai, and it means to never treat another person in a manner that would make them feel small. Don't you love that? Talk about a concept that has just massive power to change lives, inspire people to become their very best. Now, have you ever had a leader that makes you feel small when you're around them? They have a diminishing effect upon you versus like a multiplying effect where they bring out the best in you and the people around them. Now, I love this quote from Bono that this quote opens up one of my favorite leadership books called Multipliers. It's been said after meeting with the great Prime Minister William Gladstone, you left thinking he was the smartest person in the world. But after meeting with his rival, Benjamin Disraeli, you left thinking you were the smartest person. And I love that because the secret to Genshai is much deeper than words. Genshai is a way of being and a way of seeing other people, seeing them for who they are. And it's not the things you say or what you do that will make the biggest difference. It's not even how you say them or how you do it. It's not in the technique. It's not learning a tactic to use on people. The secret is in the way people make you feel about yourself. Kind of like when you leave the room with Benjamin Disraeli, you feel like you're a champion. He draws out the best in the people around him. So that first key is foundational. To build on that, the second key to duplicate yourself gets more tactical. And it's about knowing how to effectively coach somebody, right? So I've developed a 4-part formula for effective coaching and teaching that's been game-changing for me as I've led sales teams over the years. And this will help people step into their greatness and become their very best. Now, this framework is simple, and you can apply these 4 principles right now. Literally, right as you get off, you can start applying these. And let me just give it to you straight. Align, lift, challenge, and get out of the way. Now, to align with people, you want to meet them where they are at. Now, you want to adopt a mentality that before I say, follow me, I find you. Listen, the starting point to duplicating the results that you've been able to get as a high performer is starting with understanding and appreciating the world of the people that you lead. They are not you, and nothing influences quite like meeting people where they are at. Rather than bulldozing over them and forcing them to meet you where you're at. This is highly ineffective. Now, to successfully coach people, you gotta know when and how to do the second key for successful coaching. First one's align with them. Second one is to lift them. Now, your job as a leader is to find out how they like to be lifted. Is it positive words? Is it a quick note? Private text? Is it a mixture of these? Is it public recognition? Is it just time with you as their leader? But find some way to lift the people around you. Listen, take the time it takes to ensure people that you lead feel valued and appreciated by you. And I found in real life that people who feel good about themselves produce good results. People who don't feel good about themselves don't usually produce good results. And so you want to facilitate a culture and an environment where the people that you lead, your team, man, they feel good about themselves. There's a vibe. We're aligning with people. We know where they're at. We're lifting them to higher ground. You want to be somebody that makes everybody feel like somebody. And as you develop this culture, watch as their results start to take off. Give them a name to live up to. Treat them as if they were already what they could and ought to become. Visualize them successful and treat them that way. And get good at giving people a lift in ways that are meaningful to them. We all need it, right? So in coaching someone, you've got to align with them. You've got to lift them. You also want to be able to challenge them directly as needed. If they feel like you care about them, and they feel like you care about their success, they will appreciate the challenge. But if they feel like you don't care about them and you haven't met them where they're at, you know, they don't feel lifted by you, when you go to challenge them, they're gonna feel like you're persecuting them and they're gonna stonewall you, right? They're gonna block you out in one ear, out the other, and resentment oftentimes is the result. But as a leader, you're gonna need to challenge the people that you lead to help them step into their greatness. Now, to challenge, you wanna ask for their permission to challenge you. And it just looks like this. Do I have your permission to challenge you? And if they say yes, boom, permission granted, challenge them. If they say no, don't launch into challenge them. They're not gonna accept that challenge. They're gonna resist it and they're gonna reject that challenge. So it goes a long way when they give you permission to challenge them. There's power in that, and they become more receptive and less likely for that resentment and resisting what you have to say. The last key to effective coaching is knowing when and how to get out of their way. And you don't want to be a hover boss. You want to teach them correct principles and then let them govern themselves. Nobody likes to be micromanaged, and no leader really likes to micromanage their people. Oftentimes we micromanage because there's a lack of trust. And if you find yourself having to micromanage somebody after there's clear direction, look at your choice as a leader on who you've decided to put on your team. Maybe there needs to be a change there. But to be the most helpful to the people we lead, we've got to be willing to get out of their way. And as you align with the people you lead, you're getting to know them. You will know when and how to lift them in meaningful ways to them. You'll know when and how to challenge them directly in a way that honors them, right? To help them become their best. And they'll often feel that from you. And then you got to know when and how to get out of their way. Now, I go way deeper into this 4-part coaching model in a different video. Actually, I'll link it right here. You can check that. I'll also put it in the description below so you can look at it later. And I'll have it at the end as an end screen for one of the next videos. So check that video out to go a little bit deeper into the coaching model. Now, the third key. First key was Genshad. Second key was this 4-part coaching model we just went through. The third key is one of the most hardcore pieces of leadership advice that I've ever received on how to help people become the best version of themselves and really how to duplicate the results, because you're a performer. And how do you help other people to be performers? This one key as a leader is one of the hardest to apply in real life. Harder than almost anything that I know of as a leader. But if you're watching this right now, I have a sense of your commitment, a sense of your desire to become the very best leader that you can be. So I commit to not underlead you, and I commit to provide the most value I can possibly give. Now, this one principle applied over time will help you achieve true leverage as a leader. Here's the principle. I am responsible for how they hear me. Now, this is hardcore. I am responsible for how they hear me. Okay, what am I talking about? Here's an example that has been a really hard challenge for me that I went through, and I stood up and shared, I kind of rebuked a group of people, and I did it in a way where I'm trying to be helpful, and I was trying to serve the whole team, but it went terribly wrong. And the people in the room felt like I was persecuting them. And in fact, this caused a major rift within our team. And I was frustrated. I'm like, no, they heard me wrong. That's not what I meant. And there was this big divide within our team. And it was one of the hardest lessons for me to realize and to actually accept responsibility for how they heard me, which was not to like bulldoze over everybody, but to like challenge us to step up. And so being responsible for how they heard me was such a hard lesson for me. Taking radical responsibility for how the people around us hear us. My intent wasn't to persecute everybody in the room and cause this major rift and divide, but that was the result. And I resisted that. I'm like, no, it wasn't my fault. They heard me wrong. It's their fault. That's not what I was trying to do. But the reality was, as the leader, it was my responsibility to ensure that I communicate clearly my intent. And that divide could have been majorly avoided if I would have taken responsibility for how they heard me. So that was a great lesson for me that I've tried to now apply. And I challenge you. It's gonna happen as a leader. You're gonna be sharing critical feedback with somebody and they're gonna take it a certain way. I challenge you to step up, rise up, and take responsibility for how the people that you lead hear you. And if they heard you wrong, take responsibility. Don't blame them. Take responsibility and work towards making that right. Does that make sense? I know that's hardcore. And I know that's a tough one, but some of the best leaders in the world, I learned this from an incredible mentor. His name's Lauren Simpson. And he taught me that some of the best leaders on the planet take responsibility for how the people that they lead hear them. So as a foundation, to help you duplicate the success that you've been able to achieve as a high performer yourself, to help you bring others along with you to achieve greatness as well, we've talked about 3 keys in this video. First, Genshai. Second, an effective coaching model. And third, a pretty hardcore stance as a leader to take responsibility for how others hear you. This just lays a foundation for highly impactful leadership to where you can take your high performance and help other people around you step into their greatness. Now, this is just a short video with a few keys on how to duplicate yourself and become a powerhouse leader to help people become their natural best. If you want to go deeper into how to duplicate yourself, I invite you to register for the Sales Leadership Masterclass. Now you can learn all the details on how to register for this class, what you get out of it, what it entails, all the details in the comments as well as in the description below in this video. Now as a little bonus to help you duplicate yourself, a key when giving feedback, right? You got to give some feedback, some constructive feedback, is providing one specific piece of feedback at a time. You don't want to bombard with multiple things. Have them put that one thing into action. For example, as I've trained people to sell, there's almost always a dozen or more things I can point out and give them specific feedback as I watch this new person stumble trying to learn the sales process. I learned the key is one piece of specific feedback at a time. So they can wrap their heads around it, so they can apply it, so they can put it into play, so you don't confuse them. Giving them more than this will lead to overwhelm and shut down. I've done it, I've seen it, where I was like, oh, you should do this, 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 and they're just like, one piece of constructive feedback at a time. Okay, I'd love to hear from you, keys that you found to help you duplicate yourself. So leave a comment in the comment section below, and if you found even one thing helpful in this video, hit the like button. And make sure you subscribe to the channel to get all the tips and tricks that I share each week that will help you lead your team to success. With that, make it an incredible day.